Hey guys, I am Stephanie Williams, owner and creator at Festive Creations by Stephanie. How the heck are ya? Y'all, lanterns come in different shapes, different sizes, different colors. And so we're going to talk about that real quick. I brought out a couple of my larger lanterns, and I brought out these lanterns because they're two different colors. I tend to prefer the white lantern over the darker lantern because it can be so versatile. So I want to talk to you about that for a minute. Hey Kim, how are ya? Hi Donna. All right. So the versatility, versatile, whatever, comes in the fact that I can make this spring. I can do a lantern swag in spring. I can do summer patriotic. I can do Christmas. And I don't use this one for fall, but I do use this one. But this one gets me more bang for my buck. And y'all, check the clearance sales. At the end of the season, especially after Christmas, you can typically pick up a lantern pretty reasonably. And who would care? Actually, this one was at the end of a summer sale, and it was with the nautical stuff. So if you have a lantern, you'll make sure you'll want to watch this little ditty today. So let me set these aside. Okay, so we are actually going to make a swag for this lantern, and I'm going to try and break this down as simple for you as possible. Whatever colors you choose are totally up to you, but pick something to build off of. Whether it's a ribbon, a flower, that's usually my two go-tos. So like I started with this ribbon right here. Kim, I appreciate that. Jackie's in the house. Whoop, whoop. So I started with this ribbon right here, and I said, wow, look at all the colors in that ribbon. It has blue, lavender, green, yellow, pink. There's not much that it doesn't have, right? So we started with that one, and then I kind of built on that. And of course, I have flowers everywhere. So I have flowers here. I have flowers over here. I have flowers everywhere. Not to mention my flower tree back there. We don't even want to talk about that. Marilyn, how are you, my friend? So I started with my ribbon, and I said, okay, what do I have that will go with this? Well, thank goodness I had some pink hydrangeas. I also had some darker pink geraniums. And then I went shopping on my flower shelf, and I was like, ooh, I have these orange, and I know there's not a whole lot of orange in there. Actually, that edging is kind of a coral. Check that out. What do those two look like together? So then that brought me to that ribbon. This ribbon has orange, yellow, hot pink, and it's that double-sided. So pick one area, pick one thing, whether it be your flowers first or your ribbon first, and build off of that to make your choices. Then the other thing is when you make a lantern swag, we're actually going to make one that we're going to attach to the side of the handle here. And we want it to be about halfway. So we want the center, actually if you want to, we'll get the tape measure out. So I'm going to go about 16 inches so that 8 inches is above the lantern and 8 inches are below. So it's not covering up the whole thing. So our swag is only going to be about 16 inches long. All right, so let's set our lantern aside and let's start making a lantern swag. So again, I've got lots of floral and greenery out here. I already know what my ribbon choices are based on, and I'm going to zoom in here, based on that first one that I picked. So if you look at our ribbon, whoops, not that close, right? This was the first one I picked, and I started finding colors that would pull it all together. So let's start by making a bow. A bow. And I'm going to just stack my flowers up a little bit more. All right, so then I kind of look at where do I want to place these? What colors do I want to kind of stand out more than others? So this one is actually my most expensive ribbon because it's double-sided. It's that fusion ribbon. So I want it a little bit closer to the top, but I also want to bring out my focal ribbon. All right, so I'm going to do it in this order. We're going to start with this darker hot pink, and you can have tails on your swag or you can not have tails on your swag. I'm actually going to choose not to. And because the whole thing's going to be about 16 inches long, I don't want a bow that's too cray-cray, too big, because I don't want to take away from the other things that we're going to put in it. So I'm going to make this one about 5-inch loops. All right, so remember I said that for this lantern over here, this is going to be about 16 inches in length. So we do want to stay on that, and this makes it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my base flowers and I'm going to shorten them up, and I don't need all of these yet. I'm going to shorten these up so that we are about 16 inches. Now, if I go a little over that, I'm okay, just on the very ends. But for the most part, we want it to be about 16 inches to fit our lantern appropriately. And I'm still going to bring it in a little bit more. All right, so I gather, so that's our base, and I will go back and trim off some of these longer stems on here. I just want to look at, see, it's still too long, y'all. I might have to trim them off now. We want to be able to see the lantern when we get done, right? Much, much better. Yes, much better. All right, so we have a base here. And what you can do to start out is take a zip tie and add a zip tie in the center so that you're containing everything, but I don't zip it down all the way yet before I start adding some other florals and greenery. Yes, greenery goes great in here. And because our ribbon has lavender in it, guess what? We're going to add some lavender to this. So I had a few pieces left over from another project. So we're going to use some of this lavender. And I'm just going to slide them in there underneath that zip tie. So that zip tie just kind of helps my holding everything together at this point. If I outgrow that zip tie, that's okay. I can take it off. I can add another one. See how that's starting to come together? I'm laying flat, so this will be the back side, and I'm building up from the bottom up. All right, now we added a little lavender. Where's my, some of this seeded eucalyptus. All right, so now we've added another layer, but guess what? We haven't hidden things. We're actually going to pull some of this up so that it looks like it's all together. Then I'm going to take a couple of my hydrangeas. And we're going to start adding a focal flower. And depending on how big or small you want to go, okay, so again, I layered on another layer, and I'm going to come behind my hydrangeas and kind of pull up through here so it looks like they're all together, like it just kind of naturally grows together. I don't want to cover up my hydrangea totally, but I want it kind of like Mother Nature would be growing. And of course, so that side's done. You see how that one is kind of intertwined? Let's bring some more of our blossoms forward. So we have that bundle on that side. All right, so now in the center, I've got my zip tie. If I feel happy and I'm comfortable with where everything's at, I'll go ahead and tighten that down. That first one did not have enough room in it, so I added a second one, and I'm okay with that. And I'm going to add one more here. All right. Look at that. Let me zoom out just a little bit. All right, so now that we added our bow, If we want to add some additional greenery, we can. So I always wait until I get my bow on before I, you know, call it quits on my fillers. Eucalyptus, another one that would look great in this design. In fact, I think I was going to use eucalyptus and grab this eucalyptus instead of this eucalyptus. It's okay. It's okay. So remember, we measured our lantern to see what size, and then I'm going to show you the back of it here. So the back of it just has my zip ties and then the wire where I just added my bow. We're going to bring our lantern back, and then you get to decide now, do you want to leave the handle up, leave the handle down? I like it with the handle up. I think it looks sassier. I don't know. Try it both ways. Depending on how your lantern is made, if you can get your wire in the handle hole, that's great. If not, as you can see, we've got this vent we can attach to, or you can attach it to the side of the handle. So let me see what's going to work best for me. I'm probably going to have to go with the side of the handle. And I'm just taking my wire, as you can see, and going snugly around there. Turn it around so I can get it to behave. I may actually take a zip tie, a thin one. So this is a much thinner zip tie. And give it some extra security. I actually had another swag on this lantern before I went live. And you know what I used to attach it with was ribbon. So I tied a ribbon around the base of the swag where my zip ties are at, and I just used the ribbon and made a bow and tied it to my handle. I want it to stand at attention. So I'm going to use one more zip tie a little bit higher, and I'll show you what the back looks like here in just a minute. But I want to get it placed well. I want to get it placed where I want it. If you put the zip tie on the right way. Okay, so before I tie that down, I need to know where my door is at, right? So you just kind of want to play around with it. Your positioning and zip ties are your friend because you can maneuver it around. And I keep my wires long so that I can take them on and off again. So what I do is I take my wires from where I originally attached it, and I wrap them around my fingers, and I just kind of tuck them back next to my swag. And there we go. Now I will trim off my zip ties, of course. And because it's all wired, everything in here is wired, guess what? You can bend it. You can conform it to your lantern because everything's wired, right? All my stems for my florals, everything. Check that out. All we need is our little candle, or what's really awesome again about the white one is you can fill this up with Easter eggs. You can fill it up with the little ornamental balls, the foam balls. You know what I'm talking about. You can put whatever in your lantern and change it out. But this guy is going to look great, not only for the spring, but it will take me through summer as well until I'm ready to change it out to patriotic. Just because of my color choices. And once we set that up on the shelf, it'll be perfect. It'll be perfect. Look, he wants to wobble. I could secure him one more spot, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to. All right. If you have not made a lantern swag, there's a design. There's one design that you can try. Don't be afraid to play with the ribbon. Remember, we started out with the focal point being a ribbon, and we worked on it from there. Of course, you can find ribbon at Festive Creations by Stephanie. All right, y'all. You have a great night.